Welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and I travel full-time with my cat and my FJ Cruiser. Sometimes we take the travel trailer with us, other times all we've got is our overlanding setup. In my last video, I took you guys camping with me in Vegas. And then I stopped by Dunkin' Donuts because I had no idea when I would see another one. On my way back to Mexico, I went overlanding in Vulture City, Arizona, and I shared that I was going to be focusing less on my YouTube video going forward, but more on that later on in this video. This week, Shadow is going tent camping for the very first time.
Hi, bud.
It was a long drive, so I let Shadow out of the carrier, but he absolutely hated that.
What's up, bud? You don't like being in the truck? We got another 4 hours to go.
I did put him back in the carrier, and then we continued on to Tucson where I had to stop to get some packages. And then we continued our drive to New Mexico. My favorite part of that drive is passing through Texas Canyon. It's just an interesting pile of rocks that really remind me of Joshua Tree, California. Very beautiful place, and there is a rest area that you can stop and take a good look around. After Texas Canyon, though, there's really not that much to see on your way to New Mexico. I will say once I crossed the state line and saw the gas prices, I was really happy to be in New Mexico. When I arrived at the property I drove out to look at, it was really windy and rainy. The owners actually offered me an RV for me to stay in instead, but I didn't drive all that way with my rooftop tent to go sleep in a travel trailer. Just with this look on your face. This was also my first time camping in sub-freezing temperatures. I'm from Jamaica. I really don't do well with the cold. It was so cold that I decided I was not going to go back outside to brush my teeth. So I did it from the rooftop tent, put some chapstick on because my skin was really drying out up there. And then I just prepared for bed. I had a sleeping bag that was rated for sub-zero temperatures, and I zipped myself in and called it a night. People often ask me about my camping gear and what I use or don't use or recommend and don't recommend. There's always a link in the description to all of my camping gear. I will say I don't recommend this blanket that I have. I just brought it for extra warmth, but the reason I'm using it in the tent is because I hated it and did not use it in the RV, which is where I originally bought it for.
Are you cozy? You look cozy. You look cozy in your tent mansion. Look at this. This cat is absolutely spoiled. And there's his harness. It was 0 degrees Celsius and 36 degrees Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning. And I have left this open all night because I knew he wanted to look outside. Yep, that's how spoiled he is.
Quick intermission to talk about moving my YouTube channel to Patreon. I will make my videos available on the lowest subscription I have, which is $5 per month. That's a video every other Friday, and I'll also share travel tips from my weekly newsletter. As many of you have already seen, I'm also still posting YouTube shorts so that you can see what I've been up to if you don't follow me on Instagram. For privacy and safety reasons, I just don't think it's a good idea to share a lot of long-form video content about my home, which is what I went to look at here. I did purchase the property. And there are tons of other reasons that I moved my channel to Patreon, which you can check out in the last video that I did. So how did Shadow actually do in the tent? I bought the ground tent for Shadow originally so he would have room to play, but he prefers the high view of the rooftop tent. The rooftop tent is also great because I feel safer leaving him there than in a ground tent, knowing that there are coyotes and other wildlife in the middle of nowhere where I have chosen to live. I know a lot of people have questions about why I chose to buy property when I'm a full time nomad, and I will explain that in due time. For now, can we just enjoy this beautiful forest in the middle of the desert? That is really not that long of a drive from my property. I could definitely see myself coming out here on the weekends. This is Coronado National Forest, and the mountain range is absolutely beautiful. When my mom and grandma came to visit me recently, which are videos that'll be on my Patreon, I actually took them out here. This is Vista Point, and it is definitely worth seeing if you are ever in the Portal, Arizona area. There is dispersed camping, and the campsites are beautiful.
I don't know if you can tell, but there is so much condensation on everything in here. And that's despite me venting the tent because it is 55 degrees in here and it is 38 degrees outside.
While we drive back to Mexico from New Mexico, I will explain my interest in the property. When I left Jamaica in 2015, I wanted to travel and write for a living, and to do so, I had to live a minimalist lifestyle. Everything I owned was in 3 suitcases plus my laptop, and that was it. I had nothing else. And then I fell in love with tiny homes. And in 2019, I decided to build one despite already living in a micro home, which was 628 square feet. When I went out to California to look at property, I absolutely fell in love with RVs, especially after realizing how cost effective they were, because it was the perfect combination of being able to live tiny and travel full time and do it cost effectively. Even so, I never lost sight of wanting a tiny home on a semi permanent or permanent foundation. It offers me extra flexibility. In 5 years, the entire thing will be paid off. It'll continue to appreciate in value, the value of the property has already gone up, and I haven't even started building yet. I can stay there with just the RV if I want to and avoid high gas prices. I can rent out a piece of the property. There's just so much that I can do with it. And, some people are saving for retirement. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I do that. But I also think it's important to find ways to lessen your expenses by the time you get to retirement. So that's part of my goal. Some people want to work until they're 65 and pay for big houses. That's really not what I'm after. I want a life of travel and adventure now and have a safe space to retire to when I'm ready. So, what can you expect from my Patreon videos? Well, they'll pick up in Mexico where this video leaves off. And then in December, I go to visit my family in Atlanta. My mom and dad live in Atlanta. My grandma, my aunt, and my nephew came up to visit. They live in Jamaica. After that, I go back to Mexico and I'll take you guys through some day in the life stuff just so you have an idea of what it's like to RV or live in Mexico, how much grocery costs, how much propane costs, and where you go to get those things. I also lose my laptop and then have to go back across the border to get another one and take shadow tent camping again. And then I have to prepare to say goodbye to Mexico, head back to the United States, where I pick up my family at the airport in Tucson and take them camping. My grandma goes RVing for the first time. It's not my mom's first time RVing, but when we drove the RV across from Georgia, we didn't really stop to enjoy anything. So now's her moment, and she even gets to drive my FJ. I'll also share information about how you can get a lot in this development on Patreon for the other pioneers out there. All that and more on Patreon. See you there. Bye.